context. So, yes, there's some truth to what happened from the Prohibition period, but it's mixed in with, here's this concoction in my head,
Right.
and now I put this into the story. So you have to read the book to figure out, this is real, this actually happened, but this part is fictional. And I just, some kind of way, been able to weave them together. And I will tell you, I have an excellent editor. Her name is Kate Kearns. She's with Black Squirrel Publishing in New York. And I bounce things. Once I write stuff, I bounce things off Kate and say, does this make sense? Does it look too fake? Does it sound too phony? And she's almost like my rock, because she'll say, this doesn't make a lot of sense, or you need to tie this in a little better, or something is a little vague. And so once I write, I get her input, and then I can go back and rewrite the story to have it make sense as to what's going on, a nice even flow, but still don't lose the main thought of what's going on in this book.
I think what you're saying
is a huge process to do.
Right. And I was going to say, I think what you're saying is so important, because oftentimes even when I do interviews like this and I ask people about their process and how they do things, it's like this solitary process. I lock myself in a room and I come up with this and that kind of thing. I think the fact that you're acknowledging your editor and the importance that the editor plays in getting a book out there is something people really need to know about.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who self-publish, and kudos to the people who self-publish. But I say this, even if you self-publish, you still should not self-edit or self-proofread, because you can only see what you see. And once you convince yourself that what you see is right, that's all you're going to see. So having that person say to you, this doesn't make sense, I think is making you a stronger writer. So kudos to you for doing that for yourself and really allowing your reader to get lost in this world. Now, the thing that we haven't said here today is that, and I know our listeners are going to love this, these are actually books that have a supernatural slant, right?
Yes.
But weren't you a good Catholic school girl from New Orleans? Like, how do you justify bringing the supernatural into this?
Yes, well, when you grow up Catholic and you go to mass and you do all of the things that you're supposed to, it sometimes, as you become an adult, you become a little maybe jaded, or you sit here thinking, I don't believe in this. And I told this to another lady, I said, I got to the point I became a rebel. And so I said, I'm going to step to the side a little bit. I am, from this Catholicism, I'm going to use it with the parts that I like from it. I will incorporate that into the book. But, all the other stuff that they say, if you do this, you're going to hell. If you do this, it's a mortal sin. This is I'm thinking, I've lived this long. I'm not dead yet, so let me just go on and put it in writing.
Amen. Well, to that point, a lot of people don't understand when you're talking about, voodoo and that kind of tradition. Like, these are African traditions that existed prior to Christianity and prior to Catholicism. And so what you see now in a lot of places, because it was love Jesus or die, is African traditions that have sort of been covered and twisted and morphed into these things now that use a lot of these Christian deities as part of them, So I think I think that's sort of informing what you're doing a little bit. Am I wrong in that?
No, not at all. That's exactly why I did this. I said, as much as the Catholic Church tries to tell you we are the one true faith, there are still a number of people that practice voodoo and hoodoo here in the United States, as well as in the other island countries. And to sit and say that they're going to die and go to hell or purgatory isn't a correct statement. It's what you believe in. And that's kind of how I want the book to come across, that this is actual, it is real. people believe in this. You may not believe in it. This is George. I will say George in the book is not a believer, but there are other people that truly believe in voodoo. And the Chicken Man, who's the other character, the Chicken Man, he's my favorite too. Mamushka and the Chicken Man, he's a hoot. and they are very much alive today as they were centuries ago. It may not be as overt, but it is still there. And we have to acknowledge that. And for me, when people say, "Oh, I don't understand what happened," I had another lady ask me the other day, "Do you believe in deja vu?" And I'm saying, absolutely, because there are things that happen to me that I have to step back and say, "This seems familiar. I think I've already done this, or I've already heard this." As much as we like to think that this is the first time that we're here, this is the here and now, the afterworld still creeps in, and things can happen to us that we don't understand. We don't know where it came from. It could be someone else that's putting some type of spell on us that we don't know about. It could be something that's carried over from centuries ago that's now surfacing, and now we have to deal with it. There's just so many different things that can happen. And I want people to understand that faith, when we say, well, it's faith, yes, it could be faith, but what is faith? Faith could be a spell. Faith could be Christianity. Faith could be anything. So I'm choosing to describe faith as there's a spell that's going on, and here you are, it's materializing in these particular outcomes. And now we have to see how the characters react to it.
You have
weird. I say I'm weird.
No, you're not. Oh my goodness, you're not weird at all. Like, trust me when I tell you, you're not weird at all. What you are is a person who just got some of my money because I literally just did a buy now with one click on Amazon, and the book is going onto my Kindle as we speak. Creole Moon, Book of Roots, and Creole Moon, The Betrayal, because I need to, thank you for rearranging my weekend. This is my Sunday in the park. Sitting down with a little bit of something, sipping a little something, and reading these books. So thank you. This is awesome. I'm so excited right now. I'm so excited right now. So these characters sound so interesting and complex. And honestly, when you said the Chicken Man, I was like, that's done. I'm not going to even wait for us to finish our interview. I've got to get this now. I need it on my Kindle now. A thing with the chicken, it was so exciting. Where do you come up with this? I understand your writing process, and I understand how the book itself came to you, driving down that country road, but how do you create these complex characters? Where does that come from for you? Where do you draw your inspiration?
Well, again, I look at people. I love looking at thriller movies. I like heavy drama. I look at and read. Please understand, I do a lot of reading, and I draw my inspiration from behaviors that I see in movies, from other writers that have described particular mannerisms and behaviors of their characters. The names are just things that just pop into my head. Like I said, George came from a number of places. Joella came from the street. The Chicken Man was just something I remember from looking at other voodoo practices, and they actually use chicken feet and chicken heads or whatever. So I said, oh, chicken is a good thing. You see them running around. This gentleman will be called the Chicken Man. That's his nickname. They know him as the Chicken Man. But his name in the first book is called Mamushka. Mamushka means absolutely nothing to me. It's just something that came up saying, oh, this is unique. I like the way that sounds. I'll call him Mamushka. Voila, there's his name. And when you look at the characters, the names in Book of Roots, I've gone back to my Latin days when I took Latin in the Catholic school, and we had to deal with the different leaders in the Roman Senate. So the names you'll get to see him. Axius Veneficus means absolutely nothing, but Axius is a popular name, or was a popular name. Veneficus just came into my head. Sephora, I like the name Sephora, and her sister is Valera. Valera means volume and of wind, so they have a translation in from their name into what we would see nowadays, and so Valera means volume and rain. So she's the goddess of rain and wind and a thunderstorm. I have other gods and goddesses that actually were names in the Haitian community, Dambala and Aida, and I use their names, but I have them as different characters. So these characters come up. So I'll just give you an example. Aida is the goddess, but she's a shapeshifter. I like shape-shifting. I thought that was something I would have always wanted to do in my life, be able to change shapes. So this person can change shapes. So it's things that I sit here thinking, oh, I would like to do this. I can't, but I can make my character do it. I don't know what unique names, so let me start researching what are unique names from a certain time period. And then, okay, I like this one, and I pick and choose. And then I develop this character. So she is a shapeshifter. She likes to be in the shape of a huge snake, like a python. And so she picks up the characteristics of what I think a python would be like. And I look at National Geographic to get an idea of what the animal characteristics are. So my inspiration comes from so many different places. My names come from different places. I research names. I'm constantly reading and trying to find out what would this particular person behave like. So, for instance, George's behavior in Book of Ruth, I'm drawing on Stephanie Lawrence's books from the Bar Census series. Mm-hmm. How is he suave, debonair, rake behaving? Because he's going to assume some of those characteristics. So it's never, ever one spot. So many different places that I draw up my inspiration from. I wish I could just say one thing, but it's not.
No. Please don't ever limit yourself. You are so much more than I realized when we went into this interview. You bring such a wealth of information and intellect and education and just so much, and everything you do is so well thought out. Like, as you're explaining all of this to me, I'm like, yeah, I see the connection. Yes, I understand it. And all you're doing is getting me more excited to, when we finish this, to sit down with this book. Like, it's on my Kindle. I got the notification. I'm telling you, they're literally sitting there right now waiting for me. So I'm so excited about this. Has anyone ever told you that you are giving them Octavia Butler realness with these books? Like, it just feels like you are in that category of writer that brings a certain experience, representing a certain people that are underrepresented in science fiction, in supernatural writing. How do you feel about that, being an author who comes from that experience?
I think I don't see myself as at that level. If I could actually achieve that type of expertise that Miss Butler has, I think I would just be in second heaven. I see myself as I mean, that would, if ever anyone were to ever equate me to this, I think I would just literally fall out and die.
Right. You call your editor, I've written my last book. I'm done. I've reached Octavia Butler status. I'm done.
Exactly. So I still see myself down in the trenches trying to get myself together. I would just say Nora Roberts, J.D. Robb, yes. her other pen. Yes. I guess it's Stephanie Lawrence. I've read all of Twilight. Stephanie, I just lost Stephanie's last name on that one. But I mean, Catherine Coulter. Patricia Cromwell. I mean, I'm looking. I'm looking at John Grisham and James Patterson. These people are the